Hello and welcome to our next video where we're going to add an image to our plants. So we're finally to the point where we can start associating our images. So now this assumes that you've already created your plant with the details in the bloom. So if you haven't done that, you will need to do that because you do need a bloom. And if you have a bloom, you'll have this link here on the main page on your garden admin. So if you were to click on that, it brings you to your page with all your plants. And you can simply click on blooms. If you haven't created a bloom, you would drill into details, and then on the bottom of the details page you could select go to blooms, and then you could add your bloom. Again, as a basic account, I have one bloom which will allow me to track 5 images. So now that I'm here, I can look at my bloom that we created last time, and I can actually drill into that. So on this bloom, you'll have at the top, of course, your bloom information if you need to edit it. We'll come back to that in a later time when we're going to get some images and start going to do that part. But right now we're most interested in getting the blooms some images. So right now you can see I currently don't have any images associated to this bloom. So I have two choices. I can either add a new image or I can add an existing image. Now the adding a new image is going to be a direct upload from our system here directly to your Picasa. If you've created an album that has a whole bunch of your photos already in it, you can add existing images and you can select the album from Picasa and do that. We'll do that in another section. But let's look at adding just one single image to our account at this point. So we're going to select add a new image, and here of course we're going to choose a file. So what I'm going to do is choose a file offline, so you can do that. You should be able to browse your own computer and find where you've stored your images, and once you've done that you should see a list of images that you want to choose for your current flower. So here's some flowers that I have some images of. So let's choose this red one here. This is going to be a pretty decent sized file, and I'm doing this on purpose so you can see that larger files can be loaded. They just take a few more moments. When you do this, what will happen is the screen will go gray for a moment as it actually loads into the system, and then we'll actually put the details in. And again, this is a larger image, is why this is taking so long. Smaller images, of course, wouldn't take quite as long to do this. But while we're waiting here, we'll just see that it is loading into the system. And what we're going to do next is associate the date, and then we can add a name and put a summary or a caption on it. Now those names and summaries and captions will be shown in our system, but these are also public on your Google Picasa or your Google Photos page. And so what happens there is you can actually, whatever you put in here, you can actually use there as well. Now the keywords are just a way to search for images. So it looks like it's uploading. Its upload is completed to our browser now, so we now have that image in the ability to actually load to the system. And so let's choose a date for this. So again, we're looking at June 13th, 14th was our bloom date. So let's go ahead and use that as our bloom image date. And let's just say that this is Jubilee. And you can see that if I have an error, it will actually show me. So you can make sure it's Jubilee image 1. So we'll just name it something that makes sense. And then we'll say this is a great image. And you could type, whatever else you wanted there. Now the keywords we aren't really using in the Phoebes Garden system at the time of this video. We may in the future. But what is going on here is these are just tags that you can use, that you can also use to just go with your browser right out to Google and type in these tags and find your matching images. So you may want to put in, Alabama, Jubilee, things you might use to search for all of your images that are similar, and maybe 2013 because it's the year. So those just gives you the ability to tag things and make sure they're comma separated. You do not have to enter anything for either the caption or the keywords if you don't want to. It's just a simple way for you to put a little bit more information into the Google system regarding your image. So now we have to re-upload this. So what I'm going to do is just drag my browser up a little bit, because what you can see is on Chrome, down here in the bottom left corner, it's actually showing me, when I hover over it, it moves, but basically showing me that uploading percentage. So you can see it's actually re-uploading now from the browser side into the actual Google Picasa. And again, this is a very large image of over 3 megabytes. So it's a decent size image, and that's why it's taking so long. If you have smaller images that aren't 4,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels like this one, it wouldn't take quite this long to load. But this does show you that you can actually do a very large picture as well, and it gives me a little time to talk while it's doing that, so you can see it all in action. Once it's done, your system then will pop back. I'm just going to drag this down, just bear with me, and it'll pop back over and show you the image completion. And what that does is then shows you the images here in your system. It says successfully created the image, so you can always find these. And again, your bloom images now show that you have Jubilee image 1. This is a great image. You can select it and drill into it to see the details again. And this is, of course, where you're going to edit and update it, and we'll talk about that later. But there is how you add an image, a single image, to your system. So we'll come back next time, and we'll continue to show different ways to add images and work with images in your system. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the system.